Okay, sounds good. I'll let them know. I'll make it a good one. Okay, gotta go. Bye. That was a fake phone call. Welcome back to another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Today's reflection is on duty in relation to desire. Renunciation within Vedantas and within many Eastern philosophies is often misunderstood. We think it's giving something up. But renunciation is not giving something up, it's taking something up. Taking up something that is higher. In fact, we're told within this philosophy that you actually can't give anything up. You can only take up something of higher value, and the lower just falls away. The 6-year-old that gets over playing with dolls because she's really into riding a bike, that is not giving up figurines and dolls. That's taking up something that she values higher. I see this all the time with our 3 little ones. They lose interest in toys that seem too young for them. And it's not some virtuous renunciation. It's just getting into Taylor Swift and getting into little dresses and jackets and makeup instead of Barbie dolls. Similarly, in the spiritual path, we don't renounce by saying no. We renounce by saying yes. We take up the higher. It might be through a recognition of, wow, my day just goes so much better when I start it with reading some spiritual study. We feel like, oh, that 15 minutes, and maybe it grows to 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Spiritual study and reflection to start each day. Oh, it's like water in the desert. That feeling might as well be hedonism. You prefer that feeling over starting your day rushed, starting your day opening your phone, looking at text messages, being pulled out into the world without a quiet, peaceful contemplation, a grounding wire to start the day. That hedonism, following what feels good, takes us to one of my favorite quotes from Swami at the ashram will say often, nothing feels as good as doing what you ought to do. It's one of my favorite quotes within the entirety of the Vedantic philosophy. Nothing feels as good as doing what you ought to do. And I've noticed myself observing just how light, how satisfying, how good it feels to lean into duty, and how heavy, unsatisfying, almost like a hangover effect when I lean into desire. With 3 children in multiple companies and 200 startup investments, there is duty in every direction that I look, if I'm looking for it. But living in Los Angeles, living by the beach, there is also desire in any direction that I look, if I go looking for it. But just with this notion that nothing feels as good as doing what you ought to do, dancing around in my head, it's so easy to see, is that true? When I do a workout instead of cruising through YouTube, when I stick to the schedule of the days that I get to take our girls to school, when I make them breakfast, when I look at emails where it's like, oh, that is going to be a really tough situation for that startup. Let me jump in to see where I can help them. When it's a hard conversation in one of the companies that I founded. But when I lean into those opportunities for duty, I do what I ought to do, the level of satisfaction, intrinsic satisfaction that is reached, I realize more and more, month after month, year after year, desire can't even get close to. A great meal, a great experience, a great vacation, a great night out with friends, a great time of just lounging and doing nothing for a huge block of time on a Saturday if I can get away with it. It's just pure hedonism. I don't mean those moments are hedonism. I mean that I find myself just craving the lightness and the satisfaction of duty more than I crave that heaviness and that hangover of desire. So I posit to you to think, to reflect, and see if this ends up being the case for you over the next few days, over the next week, over the next month, that nothing feels as good as doing what we ought to do. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Daily Vedantic. This reflection is part of a free repeating 2-year course in Advaita Vedanta. Rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Upanishads, arguably the oldest philosophical texts on earth, you can begin with episode 1, which gives the 15-minute overview of the whole philosophy of Vedanta, or you can join the journey with any episode at any point. But the critical aspect of this course, of understanding and mastering anything, is to study and reflect, even for 10 to 15 minutes on the timeless each day, preferably at the start of your day. As is said in this philosophy, reflection is 100,000 times as powerful as listening. So listen, journal, sit with, discuss these concepts, or ask questions at thedailyvedantic.com with our AI-powered chatbot, informed by about 700 episodes here, as regularly as one can, if you want to see clarity and peace almost effortlessly unfold in your daily life. And if it doesn't result in a near immediate increase in clarity and peace, then toss aside and feel free to never listen again. One of the things that you might notice is after 7 or 8 days in a row, this doesn't feel like a discipline. This feels like a visit with a best friend to dive into the timeless with daily reflection. Within a few days, it becomes one of your favorite parts of the day. You can also find out more, including news about in-person events in Los Angeles and beyond, at the Daily Vedantic on Instagram, or through our weekly newsletter at thedailyvedantic.com. Additionally, check out the links in our show notes for more resources like the books that are mentioned most frequently in the episodes, including Vedanta Treatise, perhaps the simplest and most straightforward read on this philosophy I've ever come across. Until next time, and from the entire team that works on the Daily Vedantic project, thanks for listening.